So, Rob, can you believe it's been 9, 10 years since you were in Nottingham?
No, I can't. No, it was, looking back, what a time that was. I mean, one of my, definitely one of my favorite, times in my career and one of my favorite places that I've ever been.
Can you remember what it was that brought you to Nottingham? Because you came to there straight out of the AHL.
Yeah, I think I was over here and I was in AHL camp and got released. I was gonna go play on the coast, and my buddy Billy Ryan, who had been playing, I played with him at Maine. I also played with him for like a half a year in the AHL. He had gone over, and he was just kind of. I was kind of wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was going to go to the coast. I was maybe looking to go overseas, and kind of talked to him about how he was like, dude, you got to get over here. The fans are unbelievable. You wouldn't even believe what's what the rink is incredible. So I was kind of going back and forth with him and some other options as well. And one thing led to another, and ended up talking to Corey and um, ended up making the decision to go over there. And I think I ended up missing maybe the first 10 games of the season and got over there maybe like mid-October.
I remember you in your first match. I think you got man of the match, and you had to do the thing in the middle of the circle, and no one had
Eh,
told you what to do.
I don't know what the heck was going on. That was a first for me. Yeah, I think we were playing. I don't remember. I think it was maybe Dundee.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I just for me, being over here, you don't really hear much about hockey in England, and you know, when I got there, obviously I was driving through the hills and driving through the country, and finally got to the town, but got to the rink, and I was like, Jesus, this place is awesome. I mean, it's like a little palace, and it was I forget how many people. What's the capacity there? Is it six,
It's
seven
seven,
thousand?
7 to 7.5, I think.
Yeah. So I just remember, coming out for warm-ups in the first game, and the place is half full. I mean, it was just electric every game, and I just kind of fell in love with it right away. But yeah, that was funny when I got man of the match. I didn't know what the heck was going on. I mean, I was like, yeah, just go out in the middle, shake your gloves, and throw your hands in the air a couple times. But the place loved it. The place was going nuts. So it was a fun experience.
And then that year, it's kind of a strange year for the Panthers. 'Cause it started quite well. Then there was that December and January period that were really tough months for that team, weren't they?
Yeah, I think we had a couple. I think it was maybe right around maybe Christmas time. I think we had a couple slides where we lost a few games. I think we went on break and then came back, and I think it was maybe January where we really started picking up steam, and I think that we didn't really lose many games from then on out. Um, I remember one game I had a buddy on the other team on Belfast, but it was the Challenge Cup, and I didn't really know what was going on. It was like a tournament within the season, and we lost. I remember we lost in Belfast, but won the Challenge Cup. So it was like my buddy was like, "You got to be shitting me," you know what I mean? He was like, "You fucking guys," but yeah, I was, it was just the whole season for me was a new experience, but couldn't ask for anything better.
Because a lot of people, I remember when I had Bo on the show and I was talking to him, he pointed to the turning point being there was a loss in Newcastle, I think, that wasn't supposed to happen. I think that's where everything kind of
No,
turned around from there.
well, I think that year Newcastle wasn't that great of a
Mm.
team, and we shouldn't have lost many games. We had a great team, especially on paper. And I remember that game. We lost, I think it was 5-4. And it was a turning point because I don't even think anything really had to be said. It was kind of just an embarrassing moment for us. I mean, we just knew that there's no reason that we should have lost that team. I think we played them the next week, and I think we might have beat them 10-1, or you know what I mean? So it was
Mm.
just like, I think from that point on, it was just more like, let's turn this thing around. I mean, enough's enough. I mean, this is something that should never happen. And I think we heard it from the front office as well, and kind of trickled down in the locker room. So I think Bo might be right. I think that was maybe a turning point of our year that year.
And then, like I say, you win the Challenge Cup on aggregate score. You manage to that thing that North
Yeah, I
Americans
know.
love.
Yeah.
And then you use that momentum going into the playoffs. And obviously, the playoffs over here is that shorter format where it's do or die every night, really.
Yeah, well, it's kind of set up similar to NCAA, like a Final
Hmm.
Four, one game elimination type of things. But it was either way. I mean, the rules are the rules, and you got to show up and play. I mean, if you don't show up, you're going home.
Then you,
And go ahead.
that's it. And then I was just gonna say, and then you have that semifinal as well before you get there. There's another aggregate score.
Yeah, we ended up. But that was that one game or was that best of three?
Best is two. It was two again. It was the one away, one at home. I think the first game
That's
we
right.
won 5-4 on the road in Glasgow, in
Br-
Braehead, who are called
Brayhead.
Glasgow
That's
now.
right.
And then it came home where I have a distinct memory of you actually putting someone through the glass in Braehead.
Yeah, Bruce Richardson, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was a fluke thing, but it felt pretty good.
I've never seen like glass like shatter like it did. It just
I didn't.
exploded.
I hadn't either. I mean, it was. Yeah, it was just. I don't know. I think it was just like a freak thing. I think he went down. I think obviously he probably had a bunch of glass in his jersey, and obviously they had a like a 30-minute recess or whatever it was, and then we came back out. I don't remember the final score of that game. I think we might have won like 5-2 or something like that.
Think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think we won by 2 or 3 goals.
Is it,
But yeah, that was wild.
so what goes through
That made some good storyline there right there.
what goes through your head when that glass does shatter though?
I think right away I was just like, I was just like, awesome. This is great. But I mean, I felt, hopefully he was all right and didn't get cut up or anything like that. But he, Bruce was a good competitor. He played hard. We had battles almost every night when we played against each other. And
a former Panther as well himself.
I know. Yeah, I know. So there was a lot of good teams in the league that year. Braehead had a great team, Cardiff and Sheffield, and we had battles with Hull often too.
So you talk about great teams in that league, and then we talk about the Challenge Cup. Use that momentum to then get to playoff finals weekend, where you went the hardest possible route to lift that trophy through the league champions, and then a team that had set all kinds of records for undefeated games.
Yeah, and we were like we were kind of talking about earlier. We were down 2-0 early in both games, and I remember being down 2-0 early against Sheffield, and I just kind of I was like, we can't be playing, like, it can't go down like this. Not in our home rank. I mean, I just remember how great the fans were. The place was buzzing, and I think on the bench, I think there was just like a common ground where we just kind of got together and were like, enough's enough, and we kind of raised our play from then on. Like halfway through the second period, I think we kind of took over that game, and we had some big goals from Bo, and I think Levers might have even scored. I don't know if it was that game. Yeah, so
he got the backhand that like trickled over the glove.
Yep. So we kind of took over momentum in that game. I would say probably the midway through the first period.
And if you listen to the commentary of that game, you get a lot of credit for swinging that momentum with one shift where you went out and hit 4 Steelers in a row. I don't think you got anywhere near the puck, but you took bodies everywhere you went. Was that like in your head? Were you going, I'm going out there to make a point at this point?
I think after we went down 2-0, I think I was like, God, my next shift, I'm gonna fucking hit everything that moves, and I don't give a shit. Like, I was pissed. And you never know. And it just kind of happened where I was in the right place at the right time. I could get to the hits. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but it ended up being a great shift, and the fans kind of got into the game a bit, and they were kind of getting up off their seat. And I think maybe that might have helped a little bit of momentum. I think Gee started hitting a little bit too, and maybe that trickled down. And I think just any way we could have taken away time and space and created a little offensive momentum for ourselves, I think, that helped out for sure.
That game had absolutely everything. It was physical. There were 6 goals. K-Wall had to make the penalty shot save in the third period.
Yeah, he played unbelievable the whole playoff. Killer was he crushed it.
Because he part of the reason that the team did have a bit of a downside is that he got hurt in
I remember.
is that where he got I think he got ran in Coventry or something and hurt his groin or his hip or something.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the game where we had the bench clearing brawl.
Did you play in
I'm
that one?
Oh yeah.
What was that
Yeah.
experience like?
I just remember
Were you on the ice or were you on the bench?
I was on the bench, but I jumped the boards as soon as I saw
Cruikshank.
Cruikshank, that's right. Cruikshank, as soon as I saw him take the left to go take a run at Killer, I hopped the boards and sprinted down the ice. And I think I just remember everybody was so I just kind of turned my head, and whoever I saw first, I grabbed and kind of, wrestled to the ground. And Gee squared. I remember it was just nuts. I mean, Gee squared up with Robinson, and Penner was fighting about 7 guys
with his shirt off in the corner.
That guy was an absolute nutcase. I mean, probably one of the toughest guys I've ever played with in my life. Just insane. But we had a tough team that year. I mean, Gee was tough. I mean, God, he had a couple of he had some vicious open ice hits that, they were clean too.
Yeah, there was the one he got a bit busted on that he shouldn't have done against Sheffield that saw him get banned, I think. And there was like this super slow-mo camera that he hit
was
Globkey.
That on Domish? Oh, no,
Globkey. And he got like this ridiculous ban for it because they found this weird camera angle. It was like off a CCTV camera that they were playing on really slow. And it was just like, what is this about?
That was that mid-season?
I don't know if it was mid-season or early season. It was just it was really, really random.
That boy could hit for sure.
Well, that was his first year. I think he was supposed to sign for Hull that year, and he ended up with the Panthers, and then stayed for 3 years. Then he just came back for the last 2.
So he was with you guys this year too, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's a great kid.
Yeah, he's a great, and you just see him around the locker room, like he just commands respect these days.
Oh, does he ever? He's an animal.
And then going back to that playoff game, it goes to overtime. What's going through your head when it's over, and then it really is sudden, because you've got 10 minutes before this playoff game is potentially sorted in a shootout.
I know. I don't know. I think we gained enough momentum in the game where I think we were confident, and just kind of when it comes to overtime, you're just, obviously, you don't want to be on your heels. You don't want to be like, I don't want to make a mistake. You just kind of got to go out there and just play, and keep the momentum going. And luckily we came out on the right side.
And it's your line mate that year who got the goal without you on the ice.
Yeah, I know. I bet I changed early.
But that was the year that Blackcoat kind of came to the forefront as well, when he got partnered with you and Billy.
Yeah, Lacko, he was young that year. God.
He was 21. He's 30 now.
He was 21 that year. And, for us coming over, we were kind of lucky. We had some great Brits on the team. We had Clark, we had Lacko, we had both Myers. Great players. But Lacko, I think that the big thing about Lacko is he had speed, and Billy and I could skate. So, I think to have a guy on the team where he was not only a Brit, but he was a young kid that Corey was able to kind of filter in with us, but also keep up with us. And I think we helped elevated his game, but he also, he kind of got thrown into that role, accepted that role, and elevated his own game at the same time.
He kind of like embraced the challenge of playing with 2 professional players.
Absolutely. And, I think that, Billy and I, we knew that he was a young kid. He was a Brit, wasn't used to kind of the, North American style of hockey or whatnot. But, he couldn't have been more positive. He's an unbelievable kid. He's very humble, and you could, back when he was 21, he could barely get a word out of the kid. But he was great. We could teach, we wanted to teach him everything that we knew, and communication and where we were on the ice. And I think that the more that we started playing together, we were really starting to click.
And you get through that semi-final, the body must have been hurting after that one because that was a physical game. That was two teams going all out in that one.
For sure. Yeah, and both pretty big teams. I mean, both teams were pretty. I mean, average size was well over 6 foot. So it was definitely physical. But at the same time, we had to put it in the past because we had Cardiff coming up next.
And that's a team that's full of big bodies as well, with your Brad Voth,
Yeah,
Phil Hill.
Weller was on the team that year. He was a big physical player. God, they had a lot of guys on the team that were tough. I'm trying to think who else they had.
Because obviously,
a couple other. Pelly was their big scorer, but he was
the little guy.
Yeah.
Guys like McRae who were like tall, but
he was a bigger kid. Yeah.
They had Matska. He was a good player.
Matska, he was on the team. Yeah. No, they had a really good team. I hated going and playing in their rink.
Oh, the big blue tent.
Oh, it was a shoebox.
They've got their own.
You couldn't escape out of that place. I mean, it was like you barely move.
They've got their own 3,000-seater stadium now, so they've upgraded facilities.
I heard they had a real nice, but I mean, although I hated going down there and playing, it made for a good atmosphere because I always packed it in there, and the games are always physical, and it was a good time.
It's like when guys go and play in Manchester for the first time. Now that the Manchester rink's a lot tighter and smaller than like Nottingham and Sheffield, and they say that you've got to make your decisions so much quicker because it's just that much more physical when it's just closer.
Yeah, I mean, when we were in the league, Manchester wasn't there.
No,
but Newcastle was.
Yeah, with the halfway line that wasn't painted all the way.
Oh man, that was a small rink.
And they got
that was a little difficult to get used to for sure.
Then you had Hull with the disco ball.
I loved Hull.
Good atmosphere in there.
I loved playing there for some reason, and it was the ice was always really good, and yeah, I don't know. In the rink, the sheet was, even though it felt small, it was a big sheet. Same with Edinburgh.
Edinburgh sheet was the biggest one in the league.
Yeah, I mean that was like playing on a pond. You can't beat Nottingham though. I mean that place was place was immaculate, man. Fans were unbelievable.
And then so it gets to that final. Puck drops on that final. I know I'm going to reference Bo again because he's the only guy I've spoken to from that team about it properly. He said for him, there was no way the Panthers were losing that game because he didn't like Cardiff.
Not in our home rink. No, we hated each other. But I think, man, Killer played unbelievable in that game. I think, Cardiff, they pressed us pretty good. I mean, Killer made some great saves. But, yeah, I don't know if it was destiny or what, but it was a hell of a night, though, after we won.
I can imagine. So I think that it was destiny at that point where Nikolov floated that puck over.
Yeah.
It just found a way in.
I know.
It had no right to go in, but it found a way.
We had the hockey gods with us that night.
And then Bo scores from the impossible angle for the go-ahead goal in the corner.
Was that wasn't the one where he came around the net? Was that the one where he came around the net and then scored? Yeah.
He's like on the goal line almost.
Almost by, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's found the smallest of gaps, gets it through, and then from then on, it's just 10 minutes of the tensest I imagine you probably felt.
Yeah, we were just holding on. It was probably like a different scale, but like Miracle on Ice in 1980, where it's just like we're waiting the clock out.
And then because you've gone through the league champions, you've gone through the team that I think they won 22 in a row, and they were ever since.
I remember.
They just were not. They just didn't lose. They never lost.
I know.
And that's a testament to the way you guys turned around. And I'm sure the way Corey galvanized you all around as well.
Yeah, no, Corey did a really good job. Obviously he had a really good year that year too, point wise. He was great on the power play, but he did a really good job of getting us ready and making a game plan for us to, go out and succeed. And, I think he put the right lines together. He put the right matchups together. And, it just made for, obviously if we lost, we're still a great group and a great great team, great city, but, you know, just tasted a lot sweeter that we won. And being able to celebrate in our hometown after the win was just incredible.
I imagine, as you were talking about earlier, really sweet for you to see one of your best friends score one of the greatest goals in the Elite League history.
Oh, it was unbelievable. I mean, I think that really turned the momentum. I mean, that was, I think the game was, even though he tied it up 4-4, I think that we won the game right then, you know, from there forward, because the place it was just electric. I mean, the roof, I think the roof was going to come off the place when Billy scored. And, but yeah, it was an unbelievable goal. I mean, I think, you know, everyone's seen it, but I think you know, he's just coming through the neutral zone, you know, flying. I think Danny Myers hit him with a pass in the middle, and just, I mean, it barely even looked like he shot it. I mean, the thing came out like a cannon right over. I forget who the goalie was on Cardiff, but
Stevie Lyle.
yeah, Lyle, that's right. And I told Billy, I said the celebration was probably better than the goal was.
Flying down there with his arms out and all
Oh
that.
yeah, it was like a friggin' airplane or something.
And then
It was awesome.
And then you get the whole, because you win it in Nottingham, you get the whole experience of celebrating on the ice from the fans. Then you go up onto that balcony with all the fans
Yeah,
out on the concourse. It's just packed.
we got off the ice. And they brought us down one of these, like, I think it was like a Guinness maker or whatever the hell it was. I almost broke the goddamn thing. I had so many Guinness. And it was, you know, it was just, it was amazing. And then, yeah, you go up to the balcony there, and the whole rink's outside waiting for you. It was just in the plaza there. It was just an experience I'll never forget. I remember Jade Galby, I think he went out in half of his gear. Just took his skates off and then said, "See you at the bar, boys." Didn't even get in his dress clothes. Kidding me?
I think it's safe to say you all earned that. You could have done that safely, all of you.
Oh, absolutely. It was incredible.
And was there any part of you that wanted to come back to Nottingham after that? Or did you want to go back home kind of thing?
I mean, I think I would have loved to come back. I mean, I think it was a mixed emotion of you know, not being around family and being closer to family, and maybe getting another crack at playing in the AHL or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I would have, you know, if it worked out, I would have loved to come back. I mean, it was, you know, I have nothing bad to say about, and I mean, it was just a great experience for me. I couldn't have came over to a better city, better group of fans. I mean, I think the fans really took us in, and yeah, and I mean, I would have loved to. I mean, there was talks of it a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, I think I ended up just, you know, liking to be close to family.
Because Nottingham's one of those cities where I think when you get in it, it feels bigger than it actually is because there's just so much to do in the city.
Yeah, like I remember when I first got here, I think I went right to the office, and then right to the rink. So it's kind of where the office and the rink are. It's kind of really hidden from downtown, unless it's but if you go by the office and take that turn, walking up towards like where the Cape is, then it just opens wide. It opens up. So I kind of missed that the whole first day I was there, and then you know, checked into my place and then ended up walking around a little bit, and I was floored with just everything to do. I mean, it was, you know, all the bars and restaurants and things that were going on. The corner house was a sick spot. You know, we were there often. You know, with the movie theater and all that stuff. But yeah, it was just so much to do. I mean, we just walk around all the time, and we frequented that Starbucks there in the square, hang out there a bunch, and yeah, couldn't. I mean, we didn't even really travel much. We went to London maybe once, but we didn't. There was no reason to leave really. There was just a lot to do here.
And then that 2010, 2011 team, they did leave a legacy with the Panthers because that was the kind of the turning point of the club where after that it went on to success after success for many years after that Challenge Cup and that playoff final.
Yeah, I think, you know, from the top down, I think, especially when I was there, I think we just demanded success, you know, and I think it helped out too. I mean, they got the new locker room there too now. That was after us. And I think it's just an organization that, they pride themselves on winning and looking back, I think even before us, I mean, there was a little bit of success in winning, but I think that year, that 2010-11 year, I think that we set it in the right direction a little bit. And I think it got the community excited as well. I mean, that year was overall, I mean, that we would be walking around town and people would be coming up to us and saying hello. And, it felt great. I mean, it was, anybody that's walking downtown and you're having people coming up to you and saying, great game last night, man. And, a lot of people don't see you with your helmet off too. So to be recognized like that in the street and, the buzz, and it was great. It was a time I'll never forget.
And so it's the little changes that year as well, I think, led to the culture changes in the team. Because after the bench ball, that's when Rick Strachan came in as assistant coach. What do you remember about Strax coming in? Because he's been there ever since.
Yeah, he's still there, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Strax is an unbelievable guy. I loved having him on the bench. Him and I got into it a little bit a couple of times on the bench, but it was all out of love, though.
Yeah, he doesn't back down, does he?
We're both competitive. We're both competitive guys. So there was a couple of times where we were just at each other, but it never turned out to be anything where it was like we always squashed it after, because I have a lot of respect for him, and he brings a lot to the table. He knows his stuff, and yeah, he's a motivator, and he likes to win too. So I think we have a lot in common.
And if he tells you something, he means it because he doesn't sugarcoat anything.
No, he doesn't. That's what I loved about him. And I think that him coming in that year was awesome. I think it brought a new flavor, something different to the locker room. Because he's a funny guy too. I mean, he could joke around a little bit as well. So it was a great addition that year.
And then you also had guys like Jeff Harima and Daniel Kachuk come in, who are NHL players. The level of professionalism I imagine they brought in was insane.
They did, yeah, and they were, down the stretch there. Huck had a couple of big goals down the stretch. I think he had a real nice goal. I think it was in the final.
No, the semifinal, the one was the hardest slap shot I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's right. And he was, but both great guys. I mean, they were, Kachuk was more of he was a mind of the game. He was kind of a mathematics kind of guy towards the game a little bit. And, but anytime you can bring an experience and, it goes a long way for sure. And I was glad to celebrate with those guys when it was all said and done.
And then you retired after 4 more years in the coast. I mean, you had a pretty crazy last playoff series as a player, 27 games I can see on my other screen here.
Yeah,
were you ready to finish then?
Pretty much the most games that you can play in the playoffs. That's a little bit different than the playoffs over in the EIHL. Yeah.
There's nothing like those EIHL playoffs, is there? With all the different fans, different pockets around the arena, different areas of noise.
It was amazing. Like I said, it reminded me a lot of the Frozen Four in the NCAA playoffs. But yeah, I came back over. I played in Elmira for 3 years. I think coming over to Nottingham, I think that my game, I gained a lot of confidence back in my game. And when I went back over, I became a better all-around player, I feel like, in Nottingham. And I think I brought that confidence back over to North America. And for some reason, I thought I was going to get the opportunity to get a call up at some point. I thought I had good enough years to, but it just never happened. But still was able to play on some great teams with some great players. And, that last year just kind of – we lost in Game 7 of the Kelly Cup final, but and we didn't lose pretty either. I think the game was 6-1 or something like that. We got absolutely destroyed. But like that would rival, like, that team was South Carolina was an unbelievable team to play for. much like the team in Nottingham. But at the same time, I mean, I think I probably had a little over 500 games played, right around there. I was kind of traveling around a lot. It was kind of the same old thing, being on the bus, and I was kind of also getting into music at the same time, and which kind of really started in Nottingham. And I don't know, I was kind of looking for a change. I was kind of ready to move on and do something different, and kind of the body's taken a toll over the years, you know what I mean? So, but I miss it a little bit. I miss the locker room. I miss being out and playing. So I try to get out as much as I can still, but it's tough to find the time.
You're still in touch with the game though, with your sister and things, aren't you? Because she's obviously still playing for Team USA and things like that.
Yeah, no, yeah, and my brother was playing as well too. But my sister, she's still going. She's gonna go out for another Olympics, which will be in China. But I don't know how that's gonna go. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be in 2022. No, it's 2022, I
I
think.
think so. Yeah, I think that rings a bell. That's right.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to play out. So it'll be interesting. But she's still grinding away and training and playing for the national team, and so it's been fun to be a part of her journey for sure.
Do you watch any level of hockey? Are you like NHL guy? Do you watch AHL, ECHL?
I do. I watch mostly NHL.
Hmm.
Like a lot of the ECHL, AHL stuff doesn't get aired. And around me, I don't really have much around here in terms of traveling to go see games. I mean, the closest I'm in Boston now, so I'm closer to the Bruins than anything. But I'll follow. I'll watch highlights, and I'll follow the top scorers and stuff like that. And some teams there's a lot of good teams this year. I mean, it's kind of anyone's.
Hmm.
I mean, the Bruins were having a real good year this year.
Yeah, well, Marchand came out today and said this break isn't going to help us because we're the oldest team, so
No.
we're kind of like we're freezing up now.
Yeah, I know, huh? So yeah, I know it's kind of, it sucks at what's going on right now, because hockey was really fun to watch, and there was a lot of good teams, but I don't know if this thing's gonna break and they're gonna just kind of jump into playoffs mid-summer, or I'm not really sure what they're gonna do.
Well, it's like they've said with the baseball, isn't it? They're planning on starting the baseball in Arizona, all 30 teams in one place.
Yeah, just in a warmer climate.
Yeah, no fans,
Yeah.
just all the teams in one city, one arena, one
Yeah, it's
ballpark,
crazy.
and just go from there. But when we get through, it's when we get through all this, how good it's going to
Right.
feel to be able to watch a hockey game again. Go and watch.
I know. Yeah. Well, it's nice that you guys are posting this stuff so we can look back on some of the older games and have something to watch.
Yeah, I think the oldest team I've got still to rip off is one from 1998. That's as far back as I can go at the minute. So I don't know what the quality of that one's going to be like.
Yeah, I know. Probably some fights in that game, huh? Was it a Sheffield game?
No, it's a game against the Air Eagles. So I've got no idea what's going to happen in that one.
Jesus.
So you mentioned music. I remember you did do a little gig in Nottingham before you left.
Yeah, we did one at the Canal House there, over right down the street from the rink. It was pretty much one of my. I was like the first gig I ever played in front of people. And I remember. I mean, what's his? I'm trying to think of his name. Is it? Well, Billy helped me with it a bunch too, and Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark was he was our videographer back in 2010-11, and he was a big help in terms of kind of getting stuff together, and we were kind of going over set lists, and he took some video and some photos as well. But I remember looking around. I was in the back, and I just looked out, and the place was packed. And I was like, "Oh my God, what did I get myself into here?" But it was everybody was great. Like, I think I ended up playing 20 songs. Just an unbelievable experience, and I just felt it was I feel like for me and for a lot of hockey players, it's tough to, after hockey, to find that passion or like that burning fire or something that kind of elevates you a little bit. Like when you take the ice, it's tough to find something that matches that. And for me, getting up on stage and playing in front of people was a similar feeling. So I consider myself lucky. I was able to find something that, I really loved after hockey and able to pursue. And, kind of from that concert at the Canal House on, I was just kind of obsessed with getting better at guitar and getting better at singing and being able to play in front of as many people as I can, and still doing that to this day.
And were you writing songs and stuff before you had that concert? Like how long had you been writing songs for?
Yeah, I mean, I'd been writing songs for probably a year. I wrote a good amount of songs that year in Nottingham in the apartment. And then after that, it kind of really magnified, and I started writing a ton back in the East Coast Hockey League and in South Carolina. And then when I was done playing, I moved down to Nashville because I wanted to get myself around better musicians than myself and better writers. That's kind of the only way you're going to get better and kind of humble yourself a little bit, where it's like, yeah, I mean, I can do this stuff and behind my, door in my room, but at the same time, I got to get out and meet new people and learn, better ways of writing and how to create better songs. And I went down to Nashville and did that and met a lot of people and started playing out in front of a lot of people there. And it kind of helped me. It kind of helped the structure of my songwriting and, what it takes to, you know, get the best out of a good song, and still learning a lot as well. But now I'm back in Boston. My girl, we met down in Nashville. She's a singer-songwriter as well, but she got a job as a morning co-host on a radio
Oh
station here in
wow.
Boston. Yeah, so it's a huge country radio station here in New England. So it was an opportunity that she couldn't pass up. And we were, she's from Massachusetts. I'm from Massachusetts. Our families are all here and our friends are here. So it was kind of like moving back home. Even though I miss Nashville, I try to get down there, before this virus hit, every other month or every 2 months to get down and write and collaborate with some people. But I do a ton of gigs here in Mass. I mean, I think over the course of last summer and the fall, I would say I was probably playing 70 gigs,
Oh wow.
75 gigs. Yeah. Like, but it's everything. I'll play in a bar, a pub, but also do bigger venues where they're ticketed events and, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 people. So I'm kind of all over the place. I'd rather, I like those 500 to 1,000 people venues where it's kind of all eyes are on you and you're not just background at some places, but it's all part of the learning process, I think. No matter where you're playing, it's an opportunity to get better and in between songs, interact with the crowd. And, it's just the more you get out there and the more you do it, the better you're going to get.
And what artists did you grow up loving, like country artists?
I didn't grow up on country.
Okay.
It was weird. It was weird because if I was in my mother's car, I was getting something totally different than I was in my father's car. And when I was in my dad's car, I was listening to Led Zeppelin and the Eagles and Steve Miller Band and a lot of classic rock, Marshall Tucker Band. And then when I was in my mom's car, I was listening to Paul Simon and Dave Matthews and Bob Dylan. So I was getting more of like the singer-songwriter feel in my mother's she was taking me to hockey or whatever it was. So I didn't become a country music fan heavily until probably freshman year in college. And that was only listening to Kenny Chesney because, I mean, we used to go to his concerts and, it was just always a good time. The tailgate was great, and Jason Aldean. And then not until recently, probably in the last 2 or 3 years, 4 years, I've, dove more into the Willie Nelsons and the Johnny Cash and the Merle Haggards and John Prine and kind of the older traditional more country. And but I'm a big fan of Chris Stapleton. I like that more edgy Southern rock kind of feel. But my musical influence, they're all over the place. So it's
because I remember I used to spend every weekend at my grandparents' house, and they listened to country music and Elvis. So
oh yeah,
I'm from a town just outside of Nottingham, and I grew up on like Charlie Pride and Kenny Rogers and all these people.
okay.
Ever since I was like 7, I have loved country music. It's been I've took it with me all since then.
Well, the thing that's great about country, it's a story. I mean, pretty much every single song takes you on a ride. Like I feel like you're in a story from start to finish. And that's what I love about it, are the lyrics, and the simplicity of it. Like John Prine just passed away, and I had never really dove into much of his stuff until recently. And his lyrics and storytelling are incredible. He's real witty with his words, and he's simple. Like it's almost like he's just talking. He's not really even singing. He's just talking the story out, which is really cool. So,
yeah. Well, what would you say your favorite? If you had to pick one country song as your favorite, which would you pick?
oh my God, I don't know. Probably something by Chris Stapleton. I love that song. He's got a song called "What Are You Listening To?" That's really good. I think, man, it's tough to pick just one.
It's a horrible question, I admit.
Yeah, I know. Anything by him right now, I really like. I've been a fan of him since before he even released his first album, Traveler. But I like Eric Church. Anything by Church too. But it's tough to pick just one.
I always pinpoint, for me, it's not his song, but Charlie Pride sings a version of Me and Bobby McGee.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And that's all. And that's the one. I know the video off by. He's in a green suit on stage with his big afro. He's just. And I even know the bits where he is talking to the crowd. It's the most crazy thing. But that's the song that's always lived with me.
Oh yeah. Well, did he write that song? Because Janis Joplin did a version, I know, but I don't think she wrote it.
I have no idea who wrote it. I've just know loads of people have covered it. Like I've seen a version by Kenny Rogers. I've seen Pink do a version of it. I've seen all these crazy things. So is that your studio behind you then?
Yeah. So it's just kind of like a little, I don't know if you can see it, but I got the guitars here in the back, and then my desk is here. I pretty much have everything you need to create kind of like I guess you call it like a scratch track, where if I wanted to send it out, to get recorded, I could just record my acoustic and my vocal here, and I could send it out and people can build track around it. I'm still trying to get better at putting drums and other instruments on stuff, but I got my mic's right here, and it's pretty easy. I pretty much have access to create my ideas here and jot down stuff. And if I'm usually, I get kind of sporadic with stuff where I won't write for a couple of days, but then I'll write 7 songs in 3 or 4 days, so it's just kind of, the inspiration, sometimes it comes out of nowhere. But I've been writing a ton lately. I mean, since Nottingham, God, I've probably written over 200 songs.
Jesus. And then and then your latest release is duets, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's what my girl, and we actually have a lot of songs that we haven't recorded yet, but we had been writing together a ton, and we were like, we got to get something out there. And a few of the songs on that EP, a lot of people have come up to us after the shows and be like, you got to record that. So we ended up recording, I think it was 6 songs. It's on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. It's called Make It Mean Something. We recorded it in Oregon and in Portland, kind of just to go somewhere new, kind of get a fresh, maybe just like fresh inspiration, or kind of getting out of Nashville and going somewhere new. Because depending on where you go in Nashville, it's expensive to record there. We got a pretty good deal out there, and we really liked how it came out. And we got some other stuff coming soon as well, not only as a duet, but also I got some stuff coming out individually. So I mean, I would say my biggest hurdle would be just getting stuff recorded. I mean, the issue is not really writing songs or, you know, getting them down just kind of raw and acoustic, but it's kind of getting the instruments around them a full production, and a lot of that, it just costs money. I mean, it's close to probably, I would say, for the low end that sounds good would probably be like $1,000 a song here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you're looking at, you know, when you want to release like a 5-6 song out EP, you're looking at $5-6 grand, you know, which is, you know, it's tough, but that's the thing about these bigger artists, that there's not much of a budget. You know, when Keith Urban's doing a record or Carrie Underwood's doing a record, they're not worrying about a $5,000 or $6,000 budget. You know, they're worried, you know, they'll spend $1 million on a 10-song or album, you know. So I'm getting there though. It's all about meeting new people, and I think the biggest thing is just keep writing songs, because the more that you write, the better they're gonna get, and then you can just weed the bad ones out and keep the good ones, and then eventually down the road you meet the right people, you save up your money or however it works, and then you're able to pick from a good amount for your next project.
Well, we're going to bring a new generation of Panthers fans to Rob Bellamy's music, so we're going to put all the links in the bottom and everything. We're going to link everything up for you, don't worry.
Good. No, when I was over there, when I was playing and we did the Canal House, I mean, the support for the music was incredible, and you know, I've definitely come a long way since then. So you know, yeah, definitely keep your eyes peeled for some new stuff coming out.
And have you got a message for the Panthers fans to wrap this up?
Yeah, no, I love you guys. I mean, we had a great year the year that I was there, and but you know, the fans made it that much better. You know, every single night that we played, the place was sold out, and it just made, you know, it made for better energy. You know, just individually going out there and, you know, us doing the best that we can to create a good product for you guys on the ice. And, you know, I couldn't have asked for a better experience in Nottingham. And I think it was a mixture between, you know, the fans and just the people in general. So I'm looking forward to eventually getting back there at some point, maybe set up a concert or something like that, maybe go back to the Canal House and do something. But at some point I would love to get back there and just kind of roam the streets again.
Well, we hope to see you at the arena when that happens.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day for this. This has been an absolute pleasure.
All right, Dan. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, Stephanie and Christina here from New York Country Swag.
We are about to board the Clipper City to have our very first Manhattan by Sail Country Edition. We're going to be playing country music all night long. We have our friend Rob Bellamy doing an acoustic set. We're so excited.
Save the date for September 27th and October 11th. Follow along.
We're sailing away. Bye. I was excited for some good country music.
Yeah.
So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, yeah, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, yeah, mama, rock me. Yeah, I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know how to heal it. And the night drags on like a long freight train keeps coming. Baby, I'm damaged. Gonna take more than a bandage to heal this pain like a long freight train keeps coming. I'm gonna take my horse to the hotel road and just ride till I can't no more. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I hope you guys all had a good time. I hope to see you guys again real soon. Thank you guys again for coming out.